Presidential hopeful Joe Biden and his wife Jill recently celebrated their 43rd wedding anniversary. But before Joe, there was Bill, the man Jill Biden married when she was only 18. Now her ex-husband is speaking with Stephen Fabian in this exclusive television interview.
It's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to break her heart.
He's the ex-husband of Dr. Jill Biden, the widely admired woman who's been at Joe Biden's side for 43 years. And he has an eye-opening story to tell.
I was betrayed by the Bidens. Joe was my friend. Jill was my wife.
The Bidens' love story is now legend. How they found true love after the heartbreak of losing his wife Nelia and baby daughter in a car crash in December 1972. They even put their tale of romance front and center at the Democratic convention last month.
When I met Jill, I fell in love with her when I saw her.
As Joe Biden tells the story, he first saw Jill's photo on an advertisement in Wilmington, Delaware in March 1975. His brother Frank, who knew the model from college, set Joe up on a blind date the following night. The Bidens' love story reads like a classic fairy tale. They saw a movie together on that blind date, fell in love, and never looked back. But Jill Biden's ex-husband says there's much more to the story, claiming Jill and Joe's relationship actually started in 1974 when he was still married to Jill. It was a blind date. Point blank, is that story true?
No, not even a little bit.
Bill Stevenson, the founder of a popular local rock music venue called the Stone Balloon, married Jill when she was just 18 years old.
Jill I met on the beach in Ocean City, New Jersey in August of 1969. Sure, I fell in love with her because I married her 6 months later.
In her memoir, Jill says of her first marriage, "I truly believed we were destined for each other. Looking back, it may seem like a mistake of youth." According to Bill Stevenson, both he and Jill first got to know Joe Biden when Biden was a county councilman in Newcastle, Delaware. Stevenson asked his help obtaining a liquor license. So you were friends with Joe Biden?
Oh, yeah. Not only that, I threw a fundraiser for him in August, raised between $2,500 and $3,000. We got married in 70. I introduced Joe to Jill in 72. Right before the election in 72, Jill, Joe, Nelia, and I were in his kitchen. How do you forget that?
That would be 3 years before that now famous blind date. Stevenson says his first inkling something was up came when Jill refused to go with him to meet Bruce Springsteen, who was booked to appear at the Stone Balloon.
She said, Joe asked me to keep an eye on the boys. And I just thought to the back of my mind,
Then one day, he says a man came into his bar and asked him to pay damages for a fender bender that involved Jill.
He looks at me and he says, oh, she wasn't driving. I said, her beloved Corvette, she wasn't driving it? He goes, Senator Biden was driving it. And I went, what?
Did you confront Jill at the time and say, what's going on here?
Yes, I did.
Did she admit to it?
She didn't say anything. She just looked at me. I said, you got to go. You got to go get your own place.
Jill and Stevenson's divorce decree was issued in May 1975. He says the divorce became contentious when Jill asked for a share of the Stone Balloon, which he says the judge denied. In the years following the divorce, Stevenson was convicted on a federal fraud charge and was also sentenced to 6 years probation for passing bad checks. He blames his legal problems on politics. He has just written a book about his life and is considering publishing it. We're talking about decades and decades ago. This story comes out right before the election. A lot of people are going to ask some questions.
It's years ago, but guess what? It's so current right now because he is picking on people about character.
Has anybody from the Republican Party reached out to you to tell your story, to come out to tell these things about Joe Biden, to speak out against him?
Nothing. Not even a little bit.
Dr. Jill Biden is denying her ex-husband's claims today. In a statement to Inside Edition, her spokesman says these claims are fictitious, seemingly to sell and promote a book. The relationship of Joe and Jill Biden is well documented. Jill Biden separated from her first husband irreconcilably in the fall of 1974 and moved out of their marriage marital home. Joe and Jill Biden had their first date in March of 1975, and they married in June of 1977. Stevenson has been married to his second wife, Linda, for 34 years. He insists he isn't out for revenge.
Listen, I've said from the very beginning, I have no hard feelings about Joe, Jill, the affair. It means nothing to me now. Everybody's saying, Bill, you're being so mean bringing this up now. But if I don't do it now, it's never going to be able to be brought up.
Stevenson says while he voted twice for Barack Obama and Joe Biden, in this election he's voting for Donald Trump, he says, because he agrees with Trump's stance on police issues.